Okay, so here are the rails, and here is our show.
Completely off. Completely gone today. What in the world? Derailed. Yay, you're here. Welcome to the CK and GK podcast. Let's get going. Are we on?
Hello! Yay! Welcome back to CK and GK. We're saying the right name now.
Yeah, we have the right one going.
We are working on a symbol so that we can be the podcast formerly known as Top Knot Talk.
Nice.
But for right now, we're just CK and GK.
I like our symbol. It's just letters. It works. It's fine.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
All right, let's do this.
So we're some moms who are also teachers.
We pretend to adult on a regular basis.
We know a lot of things.
But there's even more that we don't know.
Our approach to learning is all about fun and practicality. So come learn and spend a lot of time laughing with us.
I like it.
So today with me, I have Kansas, and she's nicknamed that because of Botox. Her forehead is as flat as Middle America.
I was not expecting that. I was like, wait, what? Thank you. That's the best compliment ever. I'm using the stronger Botox these days because I wore the first one out. So I had to get the stronger stuff. All right. Well, I have in front of me everyone's favorite substitute teacher. It's Peggy Hill, everyone. Here she is. Two can play at this game. Two can play at this game. There it is. And you might hear a third voice, and that's because we have my dear friend Ariella Anderson on the podcast today, and she's going to join us really for all things CK and GK, but we have her on to talk about one of her obsessions, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She's going to teach us all about the things.
Avengers Assemble. I love it.
Yes. But, of course, we have to start with our usual stuff.
Right. This is our circle time. You know circle time. This is when in pre-K you would sit on the carpet, crisscross applesauce, and have a share. Today, the first thing we're going to share about is the Olympics are coming back.
Yes.
Okay, so I am seeing commercials for Olympic sports. Skiing, right? And I looked at my husband, I said, is it time for Olympics again?
It is.
And I swear he like Stretch Armstrong slapped me from across the room. Yeah, it's time for Olympics again.
It's winter time though. It's Winter Olympics.
Right. It's the Winter Olympics.
Right. Technically the 2021 Olympics were actually the 2020 Olympics. So it's every 2 years. Yeah.
So they're going to be in Beijing, and Beijing is the first city to host both winter and summer.
Ooh, fancy.
But I thought it would be fun for us to kind of go around the circle and share what city we think is the ideal Winter Olympic city.
Ooh.
If you were going to pick any city in the world for you to either attend or manage the Olympics, depending on how type A you are, what city would you choose?
I gotta go Salt Lake again. They did that in 2002, right? I mean, yeah, it's like one of those big flat square states. You could say Denver, but Denver it's not mountainous. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have
it's the Mile High City.
You have to go like 45 minutes plus outside of town just to get to mountains. It's not like people, there'd be fires in the mountains. People like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, I live in Denver proper. So yeah, there's smoke, but like, it's not.
But where there's smoke, there's fire.
Not in the Denver mountains.
Okay. So we're going to go Salt Lake for one vote. Cool.
Yeah.
This is a good one. It's got to be someplace like cold, like all the time. Remember, it was like,
Winter Olympics.
I know. Well, it was like Sochi or something. They had no snow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. They also had no
They were like
plumbing,
making snow.
right?
So
it's
it's got to be
where there was like sludge in the
right.
village.
So gross.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. So like someplace where there's like consistent snow. Alaska? Has there ever been like
that would be a good place.
Like,
what about like someplace in South America, like Chile or Argentina, like someplace down where there's like Patagonia or whatever?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
dude, it's like
or
one mind. over here.
We're like the south of New Zealand.
So my sister did her semester abroad in Dunedin, which is the southern part of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And she was like, she's obsessed. She loves it.
Yeah. I was like, we could have Christchurch Olympics. I'm into it.
That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I also love New Zealand.
I do too. Never been. Want to go.
Yeah. My sister is a history teacher, and she does a project where her students have to pretend to be the Olympic committee for their assigned country.
Cool.
And try and pitch to the class why the Olympics should be in their city.
I like it.
Yeah. I'm not making you do that. We can just stick with, we're choosing Anchorage or Juneau. And what'd you say? Oh, Salt Lake.
Salt Lake. Dude, and it's easily accessible.
It is easily accessible. All right. Okay. So that's all I have to say is the Olympics are coming back. Think of where you want to have them.
Yeah. Perfect. It's totally topical. Everyone can contribute to conversations about sports now.
I mean, if you have nothing else to say, be like,
where would you
have the Olympics? Totally turn it away from the sports. You don't have to know anything about stats or how the sport works. Now people are talking about geography.
There you go. Perfect.
It's true. That is true.
Yeah. Okay, so what's happening in the sports world? And the big thing right now is this impending MLB lockout. But to me, it sounds like the millionaires and the billionaires can't get along right now. And so there's drama. We're just not going to work. So I was like, this is too complicated. There's more to it. It could mean that now our episode that we have done about the playoffs is irrelevant because they might be changing it as part of their new collective bargaining agreement. I will be so mad if that happens. We'll do a correction corner, I promise. Either way, I'm leaving that topic aside. But we are in the middle of Hanukkah right now. And so I thought it might be fun to
Night 3.
Yes. I thought it might be fun to acknowledge some famous Jewish athletes in the professional sphere.
Love it.
So there's one of the most famous ones, obviously, that's Sandy Koufax. He played for the Dodgers. He led his team to the World Series in 1965 and then was scheduled to pitch on night 1 of the series, which happened to fall on Yom Kippur, and was like, no, I'm not pitching. And so I thought it was pretty cool that he was like, I'm not going to pitch. I'm going to observe my holiday and I will pitch the next night and I'm not going to play. So that was kind of a big deal. You know, I would say that that's probably paved the way for some other Jewish athletes in Major League Baseball. So we've got Jock Peterson, who's my favorite pearl wearer right now, Ian Kinsler, Ryan Braun, and Max Fried as well. Another famous Jewish athlete, Aly Raisman, so 2-time Olympic gymnast Aly Raisman. She actually performed her 2012 floor routine to Hava Nagila, which I remember watching and being like,
that's amazing.
Get it. This is
fantastic.
I love that. Carrie Strug of 1996 Atlanta gold medal fame is also a Jewish athlete, which I did not know.
I didn't either.
And I think it's kind of a big deal to have little girls be able to look at the gymnasts that they aspire to be like and know that there's some that look like them. My favorite one, probably, even though I'm not a fan of the particular team, former New England Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman, who in recent months and years has taken it upon himself to stop these anti-Semitic comments that are coming from other NFL players and just treat them with kindness and compassion and say, you know, I'm actually going to tell you why those statements are hurtful. He's really a model for how we can sort of correct these conversations that are hurtful to people. So I really like that. But I thought that was very cool. And happy Hanukkah to all of our Jewish listeners.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. That's awesome.
I brought home a babka tonight because
nice.
On night 1, our version of fried food was getting French fries at a drive-thru.
I mean, they are fried potatoes.
They are, right?
Yeah.
I looked at my husband. I was like, so Whataburger? It's fine. It's fine. And so tonight, chocolate babka.
Nice. I love chocolate babka. Oh my gosh. That wraps up our sports corner. Enjoy. As you know, probably my favorite part of this whole podcast is what we're now calling the gem of the week, because we've had some ridiculous events. I mean, Jenny can speak to some ridiculousness that happened immediately before we pressed record on this podcast, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot. I'm just going to lead. We have actual listeners now. Like,
Yay.
Are you kidding me? We have actual listeners. And so now Jenny and I have been
We
doing
are
this for
up to
fun.
24,000 downloads. Thank you so much, listening community.
Look for us in Patreon. Just kidding. Stitcher, what?
We have 86.
We have like 86 listens. We're so excited. Thank you for joining us. I know who some of you are. Ariella is one of them, so there might be one. Might have one less
I am
because she won't have to
too.
listen to this one. Yeah, me too.
Oh, I'm not listening to this one. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to listen to myself.
Just skip through it. Just listen every 5 seconds and there you go.
That's true. Okay, fair.
So that's my first gem. I cannot believe we have actual listeners. So it's taken us months to get this thing off the ground. Ariella knows I've been talking about this for a long time. Johnny and I have been working on this for truly like a year. So to actually have it go live the other day was really, really cool. So thank you so much to those of you who are listening. So that's my gem. There's more. Let's see what else is a gem in terms of ridiculous parts of my life. My son has taken it upon himself to go onto people's front lawns and have us take a picture of him with their Christmas decorations. So yesterday, yeah.
Oh, like he is posing.
Yeah, he'll like hug the inflatable Rudolph, and then he's like, "Wait till the nose lights up," and then I have to take the picture. So there was an inflatable Rudolph, an inflatable Santa, and someone's light up deer, like those beautiful deer that are, they're like white and they have all the white lights on them and then like a bow on the neck. He's like hugging it on people's lawns. So it's super awk, but it is.
Okay, so those like star shower projector things that were really popular about 5 years ago?
Yeah.
You got it like CVS or whatever, as seen on TV, right? My daughter and I had a rule that anytime we saw one, we had to dance in it.
Nice.
And so we would like walk through the neighborhood and we would see one. And then so we would get in there and we would like dance in their yard. And sometimes we would have music and sometimes we wouldn't. And thank goodness we like never had a neighbor walk out and be like, "What are you doing?" Now, if I did that without the 5-year-old present, I think they probably would ask.
Yeah, but I think at this point, maybe now you just might find yourself like in some sort of reel on Instagram. Like this lady comes to our house
this is my crazy
every day.
Dances in my Christmas lights. She seems really happy, so we let her know.
We give her these 30 seconds of joy every time.
Or all of a sudden on our neighborhood Facebook group, 1 million star showers are up for sale.
Oh no.
Also a very real possibility. Oh goodness. Well, I get a whole month of dancing and hugging Christmas decorations in our neighborhood. So there you go.
That is precious.
What about you guys? Tell me what's going on.
So, not ridiculousness, but my son did get the COVID vaccine, his second shot yesterday.
Yay! That's
How's he feeling?
Exciting.
He had a very low grade fever today, but that didn't stop him from talking a lot.
I was really waiting for like climbing the walls or I was waiting for something hardcore and then she said talking.
Yeah. My kid's got sensory issues and ADHD, and throughout the day he just gets more and more unclothed. So by the end of the day, he was just like running around naked, his usual self. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Expect some nudity and
expect
maybe fever with your child's second COVID dose.
Right. Nudity and fever.
I like it. I'm into it.
Yes.
I can handle that.
Yes. He found out that I was recording with you guys today. So he's like, I want to do a podcast. I want to make a podcast. I want to make a podcast with Jessica, his friend. She's going to be part of this podcast.
She is now. Welcome.
Yeah, she's totally into it. I thought I was being a good parent by showing him how to use the voice memos on the iPad. I probably was a good parent for him, but I didn't do myself any favors because then he proceeded to make like 20 something voice memos, and each one of them are a different podcast. And it's just him talking, singing. And then he started recording Daniel Tiger.
Nice.
So now he was recording Daniel Tiger, and then he was playing back Daniel Tiger while Daniel Tiger was playing.
Oh no.
It's Daniel Tigerception.
Oh, it was, oh.
Okay, so let me tell you this. Later, many months from now, you're going to listen to those voice memos and die laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Abigail, on her iPad, unbeknownst to us, was recording videos from her window, calling it squirrel watching news. And she was narrating what the squirrels do in the street. And we were just going through the iPad like, hey, we've got to clean it up, get rid of some videos here. There's too much memory, blah, 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 blah. And we're like, wait, what?
Oh my gosh.
This is not gem of the week. This is gem of the decade.
Oh, that's fantastic.
This is the lifetime. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyone else like hear all of a sudden like Panda Watch like in their head from Anchorman? Squirrel Watch. Oh man, that's
absolutely
hysterical.
Absolutely.
Oh,
oh yeah. No, I'm keeping all of this stuff.
Yeah, you got to keep it. You got to keep it.
It's all of it.
Or at least like the ones where you can hear him and his sweet little voice. Like that's something you got to do.
Oh, absolutely. No, the ones of him recording Daniel Tiger and then playing Daniel Tiger while Daniel Tiger is going. I had to put my earbuds in for that. And I was just listening to some like 90s instrumental covers because I couldn't do it.
All right. Jenny, you have a gem of the decade. Do you have anything else that you need to share?
I have
save the best for last.
I am like raising my hand. I have
things. Do it.
Okay, so the first one is the Beatles Get Back special on Disney Plus. Have you watched it?
No, I have not watched it yet.
This thing is incredible. Now, first off, let me just say I am not obsessed with Peter Jackson. Okay, I am not. But Peter Jackson is making this, or did make this special about the Beatles Get Back. When this happened, 1969, the Beatles decided, hey, we're going to get together. We're going to write and perfect an album in, I don't even know, like 2.5 weeks.
Whoa.
And then perform live. Spoiler alert, the end is the rooftop concert. Well, we already know this, okay? It was 50 years ago.
Yes.
But while they were writing the songs and perfecting them and getting ready, there was a documentary being made. And it's hours and hours and hours of footage and tons of photographs. Peter Jackson combed through all of it and made a 3-part documentary about this.
Very cool.
We are watching it, and we are watching Paul McCartney write Get Back. Like on camera, we're watching him sit there and play bass and say, get back, get back. And they're like, they don't have the words. They're singing along and they're just making sounds. They're just scatting what is going to become the lyrics.
That is so cool.
It's so cool until my husband looks at me and says, I think the Beatles might be time travelers or aliens.
Captain Random, folks. Like, what in the world? Speaking of Avengers Assemble.
I'm like, wait, what? And the side eye like is like I don't think I could rotate my head more to stare at him.
Right.
What are you talking about? My brow is furrowed. You think the Beatles are time travelers? He said, oh yeah, Jen. There's like a whole conspiracy theory about it. You should look it up.
Oh my gosh. No. Okay, so
this man is, as we know, in his upper 30s and has an MBA from a top 10 university, and he thinks the Beatles might be aliens. He's yelling at me right now. It's possible. He is yelling through the door.
Listen, I can't speak to this conspiracy theory except that it's nuts. And also, I did just listen to the episode of Smartless where they featured Paul McCartney, and he definitely has aged as a human. So like for sure he's a human. Like he's not an alien. What is he talking about? Why?
But is he a time traveler?
I don't think so. For a time traveler, he's very unaware of dates. I will say that. Like he's like, oh yeah, I know when we, went to the States, and he's like, but everything else, I don't really know. And I'm like, well, I mean, you're
maybe
prolific.
It all runs together because he's been traveling back and forth.
Okay, so now you're feeding into the conspiracy theory. You understand that?
No. The only conspiracy theory I like are the Toy Story fan theories.
Those are so good. I love those ones.
I do too.
Anytime that you can link Pixar movies to each other, I love those connections. And I look for them.
Okay, so that was one. I told you I have
What's your
two.
other one? Yeah.
Okay, the other one is so good. Pretend to be excited like I haven't already told you.
I think we can do that.
You guys. So my daughter has to make a project about herself. She has to write a newspaper. And she has to like write an article about something that changed you. She has to review a book. She has to make a little movie poster. And then she has to write an article about someone who is her hero. So last night we're brainstorming. Who do you want to write about as a hero? And so I'm flipping through the pages of a magazine and I was like, oh, you want to do Candace Cameron? She's like right here in this magazine. We just cut out the picture and glued it. And she was like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. She says, I will write that she's kind and she's loving. She's a good family. And I like her movies and her books. And she's my mom's friend. Ha, 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 ha. Making fun of me. So guess what? She made this project. I sent it to Candace Cameron on Insta and she messaged me back. She said it was cute.
I'm trying to get her to send the like Spotify or whatever like podcast scan code in Instagram, because the name of our first episode is Candace Cameron Bure. We're here for you.
Right? She has DM'd me twice.
I think at that point you can send her the link to your project.
I feel like we need to hit triple digits first. So guys, listen a lot. And then,
if we hit what, like 200? If we hit 200, will you do it?
Yes.
I think she's mentioned in passing in that episode. I don't think that we like spend the entire one fan.
No, because we are talking about Murder, She Baked, which doesn't even star her.
Right. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm just naming the episodes after something ridiculous that happens during the episode. So really, I mean, her name just came up and it was a perfect. It's perfect. Maybe she'll advertise it.
Okay.
She won't, but that's okay. If we get to 200 though, I'm holding you to this.
All right. Well, I will tell you this. Yeah. I am not obsessed with Candace, but I am obsessed with my Christmas house. I have never, also, like, I know that we already talked about Hanukkah, but we also celebrate Christmas. And I have never been into decorating for Christmas. I've never been like, oh my gosh, we gotta get Christmas. I am so into it this year. My husband got someone to put the lights on the outside. We look like we live in a little gingerbread house. We got a giant tree. I'm so excited.
We've had that tree up since October, to be clear.
Once we put it up, it was like, we're not taking it down, but we have to measure and make sure it would fit.
It's like, it's perfect. It's beautiful and it fits in your house wonderfully, but I haven't seen it since all the Christmas decorations went up. You have seen the start of my Christmas decorations because you were at my house when I was starting to do the tree. What you don't know is that when I woke up the next morning and my husband told me that the tree was not lighting up properly, I had to take the top third of the tree down, remove the lights, and figure out what was going on. I had to unwrap it all. And then I didn't have any more lights. Like I had no more lights. So my husband had to run and make an emergency Thanksgiving morning trip to the grocery store and go get like the first pack of lights that he found. And then I had to put those back on the tree. And then I spent the rest of the Thanksgiving week decorating. So I have a Christmas house now too, but mine's not gingerbready like yours. I would like that. It was a mess taking down that tree. It was not fun.
I would have left it up. I've just been like, pandemic Christmas.
Pandemic Christmas.
This half broken tree is a representative of my soul right now.
My mom has started this tradition with us where you have to light the tree up from the inside. The white lights, it has to be lit from within. It's just how it works. So I did all the white and then the first string of color didn't work. It was the first string. So it was like just such a nightmare. So thankfully my husband saw that I was nearly crying. I think I even did like have the single tear, like the Kelly Rowland single tear from the music video. I'm pretty sure that happened. And then he went and got lights and I fixed it. But it was a nightmare. Oh, made me so unhappy. And I like, when the only light in your house comes from the Christmas tree, it's the best. So I had to make it happen. All right. So any other obsessions right now besides your Christmas house?
I have a new planner.
Teacher says what?
Yeah. People, you don't know what it's like until you get a new planner. It's like the world is your oyster. Like, look at all of these things I don't have to do yet because they're not written down. And it comes with stickers.
Nice. Never mind. We can talk about the brand later because I'm interested. But we're not sponsored yet.
It's a Candace Cameron planner. What you guys don't hear is everyone laughing so hard there's no sound. I am obsessed, maybe.
Stop it. Are you telling the truth right now?
Yeah. And it's my second one.
Oh my God. It's so good. It's so good. She's going to think we're psychotic. Now you really have to send it to her.
No, now I really have to edit this out.
Please don't.
It's just fodder for a court case.
I mean, not if you don't creepily approach her. You do have your picture with her, though.
Yeah, no,
No,
that's coming out.
Maybe someone, maybe someone will tag her in it. I'm counting on you, dear listener. I think we need to move on.
Yeah.
I think we need to talk about Ariella's current obsession. As you know, at this point, our main goal here is just to introduce you to some topics. It's really just a working knowledge. And it's, again, as our tagline says, not really news, but it is something that might help you feel like less of a noob as you approach a conversation or a new topic or whatever. So earlier this year, Ariella got me excited about watching all things Marvel Cinematic Universe. I have a basic knowledge, but I do not feel qualified to share this information. So I'm counting on Ariella to teach me and most likely Jenny, because I don't think she's really into it. And anyone who's not really a Marvel person, give us a little bit of information so that we can at least tolerate the movies, if not get into them.
I am so excited for this.
Yay!
So excited. It's like my new favorite thing to talk about. Where should I start? This is so relevant because the tickets for the latest Spider-Man movie just went on sale, I think, last night or 2 nights ago, and it completely broke all of the box offices.
No way, really?
People were in line online looking for tickets for 4 hours.
Wow.
They're you are 4-hour wait times. It was crashing AMC websites. People are so excited about Spider-Man because this movie has been so hyped for so long. And then a lot of stuff has been postponed because of COVID. So production was postponed and releases were postponed. So this has been the most hyped movie for the longest time.
Do you remember in the days where you had to camp out to get tickets?
Yeah.
There was a line of people.
Yeah, and there'd be tents and chairs and sleeping bags and stuff. Yeah, I remember.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. And this is just pre-sale. This isn't even anybody who's going to show up that day. I didn't even try.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is the Tom Holland Spider-Man, because when we were in high school, it was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Yes. But I'm seeing, at least in this preview of this Spider-Man movie, that we are having some of the OG villains from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man come back.
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
But there's lots of semi-confirmed rumors that Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield, who is the Spider-Man in between the two, coming back, and they're going to be in this movie as well as Spider-Mans. Spider-Mensies.
What? Maybe it's Spider's Man.
Man. There you go. Spider's Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Spider-Man. 3 Peter Parkers. That's a little bit easier. Three Peter Parkers. And this is because this particular movie and Phase 4, which is what they're calling pretty much everything that has been released in 2021. It's about the multiverse and different universes that are taking place at the same time as the timeline that has been existing in the MCU.
So did we get an introduction to multiverse stuff with the cartoonish Spider-Man that came out, the one that had the Post Malone soundtrack song? Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like a cartoon it was a comic book style one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see that one.
That one had multiverse sort of, there were multiple Spider-Men. Nicolas Cage played one, and there was he was Spider-Man Noir, and then there was a Porky Pig style one. There were a few. It was good, but I wonder if that's, and Nick from New Girl whatever his name is, he played the voice of Peter Parker, but then there was Miles
Yeah.
Morales, like also.
Okay.
I mean, that's sort of where this whole multiverse thing kind of comes from for me, but that's
Right.
the only connection I have.
Yeah, that I can't speak to that because that's the one. Spider-Man is kind of a weird one because of who it's owned by and who the properties are owned by. So it's always this like thing that's in the MCU, but also kind of separate because Sony owns it. So I kind of feel like I'm really like out of the loop when it comes to Spider-Man properties and Spider-Man projects in particular. But that kind of sounds like what you're getting at.
Okay.
So you have what they call the sacred timeline. So that's the timeline that like we all live in. We are in this one timeline, but then alongside that timeline is just all of these other universes that are happening.
I am getting some Back to the Future Part 2 vibes.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah. It is a little bit Back to the Future. Well,
Biff has the book right now.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, you've got all of these other timelines. So in another timeline, Ariella is married to Chris Evans. And in another timeline, Ariella lives in New Zealand or something.
Okay.
There's just these different things that are happening in these other timelines. And that is essentially what is being introduced in shows and the movies that are happening, that have happened in 2021 and kind of going forward.
Okay. All right. You gave me some advice on how to kind of get started on watching any of this, and I'm curious about if you still feel like watching it from the year that it's like supposed to take place in this whole timeline thing is still your preferred way to go. So
I do.
Okay. So just explain a little bit about that for me.
Okay. So I think the best way to kind of get into this and make sure that you don't miss sort of what is happening in the new stuff is to go back and watch all of the old stuff. It started with Iron Man, I think was the first one that came out in like 2008 or something, and went all the way through Avengers Endgame, which came out, I think, 2019.
Okay.
But this is my opinion as a new fan, because I only did this literally a year ago. Watch everything in chronological order in the way that it happens in the MCU timeline.
So that is not necessarily the order of release.
Right.
It is the order of how things happen in the story.
Right. Yes. It's like Star Wars, like when you have people who want to watch, like there's the original Star Wars, but then there's the prequels.
You have to watch Rogue One at the right time.
Right.
Okay. I'm
right.
Yes.
I gave Caitlin a breakdown of the order that I use. I went off of just a TikTok user that I found, and he did timeline order, he did chronological order, but he sort of moved things around so that the story sort of flowed a little bit better. So like he put both Guardians of the Galaxies like next to each other because that seemed to work better. Because Disney Plus has everything in timeline order, but it's missing all of the Spider-Mans because Disney doesn't own Spider-Man. And it kind of does it in a way like you'll watch, say, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, and then you don't touch the other one for a while. It doesn't flow as well. So anyway, basically, you're starting with Captain America First Avenger, which takes place in the 40s, and then it goes all the way through, and you are watching this story move and take place as it happens.
In the past 70 years.
Right.
Yeah.
The only time that this really is a problem, now this is incredibly important. Marvel movies have end credit scenes. So you watch your movie, you've got kind of like the fake, like the fancy credits, and there's usually something that happens. There's some kind of end credit scene after the fancy credits. But you have to stick around, because after the long credits, the like 10 minutes of credits, like 90% of the time, there is another very important scene. Oh yeah. Well, like when I go to the movies and I see people leave before the end credit scene, I'm like,
they're not fans.
You don't even know what you're doing. Like,
you must be new to this whole thing.
Yeah. Like you must be new here.
I roll.
And for me to say that, I'm new here.
Popcorn for the end of it.
Yes. You don't even go to the bathroom. The only time that this really becomes an issue watching this is when you watch Black Widow in timeline order. you have to avoid the end credit scenes because Black Widow, while it takes place at a certain point in the MCU, it wasn't released until this summer. So the end credit scene has a spoiler for Endgame. Right. That, and I put that in my breakdown.
Yeah, you did.
After you watch Endgame, go back and then you can watch the end credit scene.
Yep.
In certain things, like my husband is only now starting to watch the MCU, and he came with me to see Shang-Chi and the Eternals.
Okay.
And even though those movies don't really touch upon what happened, a lot of the other properties I think won't really make sense until you see it, or you're okay with just like having everything spoiled for you. Loki, for example, it's like what happens to Loki after he disappears in like this
Ragnarok,
one, right? Like it so you kind of have to know that context. And then Loki in particular, it actually goes through the entire MCU. And so you see
that's interesting.
everything.
So let me tell you this. I have seen exactly one of these movies. And it is not Spider-Man.
Not even in high school?
It is not Captain America. Nope.
Wow.
It is Ant-Man.
Which is fantastic because Paul Rudd's in it.
Right?
Fantastic.
We went for my
loved
dad's
Ant-Man.
birthday.
Yeah.
I loved Ant-Man. Loved it.
Okay,
We just watched it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I loved it. And that was so good.
A drive-in opened near my parents' house. And so we all went together for my dad's birthday.
Loved it.
But I want to compliment you on how you are talking about this and not spoiling a single thing for me.
I'm trying
really
very hard.
Impressed. I can see it on your face, and you are doing a great job. Like seriously, because I have seen nothing, and I don't feel like anything has been spoiled except don't you watch the end of Black Widow?
Right.
Well, what's so funny too is that like as I'm watching these, like I will be basically live streaming, like texting her like, oh my God, and she's so good about saying like, okay, I know, just calm down. Like it's gonna get better.
For a long time,
right.
Because she is typing out a very long text and then deleting the whole thing.
Yeah.
She's like, I know. So she's good at this. But you're recommending going through the timeline order, starting with like their timeline. So the first Avenger being the 1940s and working your way through. I think that makes a lot of sense because you're right. I am seeing some pieces sort of fall into place.
Right. Yeah.
And even there's pieces in Ant-Man, and Ant-Man, unfortunately, I haven't seen featured as much as I feel like he should be.
Right.
That's because I love Paul Rudd, but it was nice to go in that order and feel like I have some context for what's going on. So I would agree with that.
My mom asked me this question when she was watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, what do I need to watch to see Falcon and Winter Soldier and understand it? And I was like, okay, bare minimum, you need to watch this, this, and this, you know? And sure, you could do it that way.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a character like Sam Wilson, Falcon. If you want to see his whole character arc and where he's at Falcon and Winter Soldier, like you got to start with Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
You know, the movie.
Yeah.
And so there are like bare minimums. I don't know anything about the new Spider-Man to say that you need a lot of background. Like Shang-Chi, I think, you know, you were okay if you kind of slipped in, or the Eternals, because they're completely new characters.
Okay.
And What If is really good too, but that's another one because they are pulling from all of the other movies. For example, the first What If is, what if Peggy Carter took the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers? So now Peggy Carter is Captain Carter, and Steve Rogers is still skinny, asthmatic Steve.
Quickly, tell me how these shows fit in, because I'm still in the thick of the movies right now. Yeah. Like we just watched, it's the one where you first see Black Panther show up. Like it's before Black
Civil
Panther,
War.
But yes, thank you, Civil War.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just watched that one.
Black Panther is one of these movies?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've seen 2.
There you go.
Yes.
Black Panther's fantastic.
It's so good. I thought that was a great one too. So I'm still in the thick of it. So I haven't even touched the shows yet. I don't know.
Oh, pause. Wait, what?
Yeah, they're TV shows.
Oh.
There's
This
more.
is like a whole
huge.
thing.
This is a whole thing. This is a whole thing.
Okay,
Mhm.
people are yelling at their phones right now saying, "What are you doing, JK? You live under a rock?"
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so you
Yeah.
have the shows that are part of the MCU. So think of the MCU. It is a cinematic universe. So it
Yes.
is a continuous story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all of the Disney Plus shows come in. So your WandaVision, Loki, What If, now Hawkeye is on. Hawkeye's
Yeah, I heard
fantastic.
about that one.
So all the Disney Plus shows are within the MCU. So they are connected, directly connected to the movies in the past and anything happening in the future.
Wow.
Oh, it's going to be like meanwhile type stuff. So like you could see Wanda show up in a later movie, but then it will have been after all this WandaVision stuff has happened.
Loki is probably the best
Okay.
example for this. The
Okay.
stuff that happens in Loki has set up Spider-Man and has
Oh.
set up all of the movies that are coming. You've got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania,
Mm-hmm.
setting up that. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, it's setting up that. When you're watching something like Loki, it is, because it's part of the cinematic universe, it is
Uh-huh.
setting up the future properties.
Oh, so basically if I don't watch the shows after I finish these movies, I probably will be missing out on some information
Yes.
that might be helpful for understanding later.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. That said,
All right.
shows that were produced back in like 2014, 2015, you've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you have Agent Carter.
Yeah.
Agent Carter's on Disney Plus. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on Netflix, and I think it just finished last year, their 7th season. Agent Carter is one of those shows, because it takes place after Captain America First Avenger. You can watch Captain America First Avenger and then watch that show, and nothing's going to be spoiled. It's just,
Okay.
this is what happened after the war. This is what happened after, what happened with Peggy.
Okay.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., though, there is a lot of controversy over. It is not part of the MCU, but it's very connected.
Oh.
There are parts of, say, season 1 where you'll have a character who was in an MCU movie, and he's like, okay, well, I have to go on the Lemurian Star, which is the ship that Steve went and like beat up all the guys and stuff, and they held people hostage.
Yeah.
So that runs alongside the movies, and it fills in a lot of blanks.
Okay.
So it can be a little spoilery.
Okay.
So personally, Chuck and I, my husband, are watching it now.
Okay.
And kind of alongside watching the movies in chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, we've kind of gotten to a point where we're sort of beyond in the movies than we are.
Yeah.
But I would say watch at least First Avenger through Endgame and then start Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
if you don't want any spoilers.
Okay. That makes
And
sense.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is fantastic. Like, it's a great show.
Okay. All right. Jenny, being brand new to all things MCU.
I've seen 2 of the movies.
If she likes rom-coms or if she likes Murder, She Baked, which we know she does, what should she watch to get her into it?
Yeah, give me the movie that's going to get me hooked and then want to go back and watch them in time.
When you sent me some of the notes, I had to look up this show because I'd never heard of it before. I had no idea what Murder, She Baked was. Yeah. Okay, so as far as romantic comedies go, there is not a lot of romance in the MCU in general. No. And the one time they kind of tried doing it was between Bruce Banner, the Hulk, and Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow. And it was done so poorly. Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it because to me it seemed like you finally get a side of her that isn't this like harsh character. Like she's always so snarky, which I love about her. And she's so tough and amazing. You know, you hear Tony Stark say, "Okay, Natasha, I need a lullaby." And what that means is go calm down your boy because he's losing his mind. Like I liked that aspect of it.
Caitlin is shipping Hillo.
I mean, listen, seeing her like be more desperate later on in that same, not desperate, that's not the right, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
She seemed to, bear it a little bit more. That I didn't like as much, but I did like that there was at least a hint at a different relationship. I
Right.
also felt like maybe the original Hulk, there's a little bit of romance in that too, right? Like the one with Ed
A
Norton.
little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I think a female director, like if they remade Age of Ultron now with how they're bringing in a lot of female directors and a
Yeah.
lot of female writers, I think they would have done it much better. Um, but I think actually the one that probably has the most romance is actually the first Thor
Yes, that's a great one.
with Chris Hemsworth and
Natalie
Natalie
Portman.
Portman as
So
Jane
good.
Foster. There's a lot of cute romance stuff in there.
That's my favorite character. Like so far, my favorite MCU character is Thor. He had my heart when he demanded another cup of coffee. Like the way he
Oh, I
does
love
it is just the best. My husband's not super into like fantastical types of stories, but he likes Thor. Like that's
Yeah.
his favorite one. And
Yeah.
and I would agree there is definitely a lot more romance in that. And frankly,
I think
he's
so.
pretty romantic with her throughout. Like as long as she gets mentioned, he's very
Right.
romantic and sweet with her. I like that.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so.
Now, I love a good twist.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
a good twist.
Like Usual Suspects, I'm like,
Oh, good twist. My recommendation for Murder She Baked was what is this? Baked murder? I don't know.
Good. So good.
Is
if you're
maybe
really into Hallmark movies about a baker who also solves mysteries.
Which one?
I
of
would
these?
say I would say Captain America Winter Soldier is going to give you lots of twists.
Yes.
Lots of twists.
Yes.
Tons of
Good.
stuff where I was like,
Wait,
oh,
That's what
Yeah.
I need.
right.
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
a good twist.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that has been called, I've heard people say it's like it is your it's like the MCU's spy movie. Like it is a like
Oh,
a spy
yeah.
movie.
It's good. It's a good movie.
Right.
I like
Yeah.
that one.
So I would
Man.
say, yeah, definitely that. There's no romance. There's
I don't need
some
romance.
flirting. There's some
I'm not a
flirting
romance
with
person.
Steve and Natasha, but
But
I
it's
am
awkward.
kind of
It's awkward for Steve.
yes, it's awkward for Steve. I personally am a Steve and Natasha shipper. I'm a Roman Rogers shipper.
Mm.
If I can't have Steve and Peggy, I
You would rather have
Steve
Steve and
and
Natasha?
if I yes. I want Steve and Peggy, like that has to happen, but
Yeah.
if not, it's gonna be Steve and Natasha.
What about Steve and Sharon? You're not into Sharon?
I loved Sharon. I loved Sharon, but I didn't. She's underutilized as a character. I think
Okay.
had they like built out her character a lot, like just the way she's used in the movies, I'm kind of like,
Yeah, I
know,
gotcha.
eh.
Okay. All right.
But
So that makes sense. Okay, so there's the okay. Oh, we just I gotta hit you with some regular basic Marvel questions before
Sure.
we run out of time to do this. But I have to know, one, how did you get into this in the first place? Like, what were you doing that you
Okay.
were like, you know what, I just need to be involved in Marvel stuff?
So,
Somehow.
so very, very early, like childhood, I was into the X-Men cartoon.
I had
It's
the
like the
cards.
yes, yeah. So I was all into the X-Men cartoon. Gambit and Rogue were my people, were my mutants. And then I saw the X-Men movies when they came out in high school and all of that stuff, but then just sort of fell out of it. I did watch a few of the Marvel movies when they came out and they were on like Netflix and stuff. Like I remember watching them with my husband, but then pandemic hits.
Yeah.
2020. I actually started reading Harry Potter in January of 2020. I was like, this is going to be the year I'm going to read all the Harry Potters and watch the movies, and I can finally get all my Potter heads off my back, and I'll finally read it. And it was like pandemic hit. It ended up being like everything I needed in life. I read all the books, watched all the movies, and then I went and did it again.
I remember this.
And then it was March 15th.
Right. And right. And then it was the end of March.
Right.
I need something to do. But no, and then it was November, still pandemic, still needing something in my life because I'm at home with my kid and it's awful. And well, the pandemic, not being home with my kid.
I mean, no judgment.
My sister is huge. Her and her boyfriend are huge into Marvel, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this whole nerd thing, and I'm gonna watch all of the MCU movies. And I'm like, how am I gonna watch the MCU movies? And I started like looking it up. I'm like, I'm gonna watch it in timeline order. Yeah,
perfect.
Let's do that. And then I got so hooked. I looked it up in my texts. I started on November 22nd, and I watched all of the movies, and I finished with, at the time, Spider-Man Far From Home was the last thing out, and I watched that on my birthday, which is December 23rd. So
wow,
that's amazing.
I was watching like one movie a night. Like I was staying up until like 11:30 watching these movies. Like I was plowing through it because I was just so obsessed. And then I got on TikTok, and I think it may have like kind of petered a little bit, or I may have been just like a normal human, but then I got on TikTok and I found Marvel TikTok, and all of those wonderful people just embraced this newbie fan with their nerd arms and just brought me in, and
I love it.
And now I have a Marvel room, if you can see.
I can see. And there's our friend Steve. There is Steve. Hello.
Yes.
There's all kinds of heroes in that room.
Yes.
Hi, RBG. Yeah. Nice to see you, girl. Yep. So first of all, happy Marvel anniversary.
Thank you.
It's your time. But we know that your favorite male character, just based on what you just showed me, and because you and I have had millions of conversations about this at this point, is Steve Rogers. Yes. And to be clear, I know exactly why.
Listen, to be fair, okay, I thought about this. I was like, okay, yes, Steve Rogers is my favorite.
Yes.
But only he gets an edge. He has the, like, Chris Evans gives him the edge.
Yes.
But I do love Evans. The character. Yeah, I do love the character of Steve. I just adore him and all of his wonderfulness.
Is he leaving the MCU? Is Chris Evans leaving it? I mean, I know he is.
Yeah.
He's not in it anymore. Okay.
No. There are rumors, rumors that he's going to come back, and I personally, what I want to see is his first Marvel movie was when he played Johnny. Yeah, when he played Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four. So with all this multiverse stuff happening, what I really want to see is Chris Evans showing up as Johnny Storm, and somebody being like, Steve?
I'm sorry, yeah,
and he being like, who the hell is Steve?
Yeah,
like, I'm Johnny.
Interesting. Yeah, you don't have to tell us how all that goes down. I know that that's part of the premise of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I don't know anything about that, having not seen it. But okay, so what about your favorite female?
I feel like Peggy Carter and Carol Danvers, who is
I love
Captain
Carol
Marvel.
Danvers.
Yeah, they are both. I try to think about it, and I think they are both my favorite for very similar reasons. Because they're both really fierce, strong women, and their characters hit their peak at a time when they are still very much in a man's world. Like more so Peggy, because it's the 40s, and she is a woman in the army in the 40s. And even our wonderful Steve, even he in the beginning of the movie was like, hey, you're pretty, why aren't you married? Like, why are you in the army and not like married with kids?
Yeah,
she persisted, man. And same thing with Carol. Like,
Carol
I think is the most, she's the most relatable, I think, because it's the 90s. So there's a lot of like, this is a man's world, and don't show your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be angry. Get a hold of
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
I think she's more relatable,
Yeah.
but yeah, those two characters for very similar reasons.
I was thinking like if Jenny's not going to be into it for the romance of Thor, I thought maybe Captain Marvel might be a good intro for
Mhm.
her, just because Vers Vers is
Mhm.
Carol's so good. She's such a great
Yeah.
character. I loved that movie. And
Yeah.
it feels a little Top Gun-ish, not gonna lie.
Mhm.
And Jenny
Yeah.
likes Top Gun, so anything
I
80s
do like
movies.
Top Gun.
Nice. Nice.
So, okay, so we know that. This is probably my favorite question. I love watching these movies and being like, what? John Slattery's in this movie? Or
Right.
what? Robert Redford is in this movie? Or Linda Cardinelli? There's just the list of people. Like, I knew Gwyneth Paltrow was in it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, there is a movie that she does not remember being in. There is a Marvel movie that she said straight up to Jon Favreau, I wasn't in that movie. And he's like, yes, you were. Like,
What?
yeah, she doesn't
Nice.
remember. Yeah. I forget which one it is, but it's one of the ones where she's in it for like 4.5 minutes or whatever.
Right.
I mean, I love seeing Don Cheadle. I miss Terrence Howard. I liked Terrence Howard, but I think Don
Yeah.
Cheadle does a great job. Ben Kingsley was amazing
Oh,
and such a surprise. So great.
Oh, he
So
is.
who is your favorite one? There's so many. Like Jude Law, there's so many.
By the way, Ben Kingsley is in Shang-Chi, and he is phenomenal. He
Really?
is
Okay.
fantastic.
Okay, great.
Watch that movie just for him. I mean, the whole
Okay.
movie is in my top 5, but
Oh,
he
okay.
is just so good.
Okay.
I think my favorite cats. Very cool. Colby Smulders.
Yeah, it's
As
Smulders.
Maria. So Maria Hill, I love her. I
Really?
love Maria Hill. Totally underutilized in a lot of ways. And what you'll find with Nick Fury is he surrounds himself with powerful women.
Mm.
And Maria Hill is definitely one of these women. And it's just funny because when I saw her in it, like she will always be, Robin from
Right. From
Himian.
How I Met Your Mother,
So
yeah.
right. So to see her there and just to see her as a completely different character
Yes.
was just like mind blowing. And then I just loved her. And now she is not Robin Sparkles to me anymore. She is Maria Hill.
Really? That's awesome.
So in Captain America Winter Soldier,
Yes.
which it is my comfort movie, which is one of the reasons why I keep recommending it. Danny Pudi is in it. Abed from Community. He's got this
Yes,
like
he is!
that one little little line.
Yes!
I was like, Abed, oh my god.
He's one of the agents, right? Like he does, I forget what he does, but I remember seeing him and being like, wait, what?
Right.
And it's truly for like less than 30 seconds. Like you just see him one time, maybe 2 times, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and Yvette Nicole Brown is in Endgame for an equally short period.
Is she?
Yes, and I saw somewhere it was an article about there are a lot of Community cast members like in all of the movies.
Really?
Oh, and what's his name? Glover.
Donald
Glover.
Donald
Yes,
Glover?
sorry.
I love
Childish
him.
Gambino.
Yes,
Yes.
he's in Spider-Man. He's in the first Spider-Man.
Wait, he's in the first Spider-Man?
Yes. Yeah, he's in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh my goodness, that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah,
That's
those
amazing.
are I think the one like the one like random actress that just made me go was Daniel Hootie.
That's
Abed.
cool. That's cool. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where I really like seeing who they're gonna throw in. I liked seeing Gary Shandling. Gary Shandling made me like that just made me and to see him play someone who is not a very likable character, like that to me was so great. But that's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
Just make all these connections between this person was in this, so it's just great. And I can't think of like at this point who haven't they tapped to be in these movies. Like Jason Bateman's left, like I guess the cast of the podcast Smart List is left, but otherwise everyone's in them.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. The funny thing too is when they cast Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston as Thor and Loki, they were newcomers.
Mm-hmm.
Like they weren't, really in anything else. And it was big that they were the newcomers. Even like Chris Evans. Like if you look at the stuff that he did, I mean, he actually did quite a few like comic book superhero movies before that, but nothing like Captain America.
Screen grabs of Fantastic Four. I was
Mhm.
like, I remember when that movie came out, and I remember like not really being interested, but I also remember looking at just the screen grabs recently and being like, oh, that was him. That's that guy. Because
Yeah.
I think he was a relative unknown even
Mhm.
then, and that was a big movie. So
Yeah, definitely. And now they've got Angelina Jolie and Salma Hayek in
Wow.
Eternals. You know?
and Robert Redford shows up. Like
Yes.
Robert Redford of all people.
Right.
Like these are, I mean, yeah, Samuel Jackson, but like he's a main character, but these are people who they are tapping to do guest spots, guest
Mhm.
villains, guest not necessarily villains, just side characters, and it's amazing how many like very established actors are
Yeah,
showing up in these movies.
multi-generational.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's really
Yeah.
incredible.
And I don't even think they need to tap these people. Like
No.
like I'll be completely honest with you. I thought Angelina Jolie was overhyped in Eternals. Like she
Oh,
was good
interesting.
and everything, like she was great at her character, but she was overhyped. Like they could have
Interesting.
gotten an unknown person and that movie still would have done as good as it did. Like she was not the person to bring people in. Selma Hayek was absolutely wonderful and she could stay. But I like
Interesting.
yeah, like, I don't even think they need to bring in these big names. Like, crazy people like me are gonna go see them.
Right. Or, I mean, at this point, if you're like an actor who's not a part of it, but you get asked to do it, you're going to go, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You're going to end up seeing, Courtney Cox and Lisa Kudrow in them at some point. Like, it's, you know what I mean? They're just going to get everyone in there. I don't know.
Exactly.
We'll see what happens.
Well, I want to spiral back to something that you said, and it's a little off topic because, again, I don't have much to add to this, but I'm very interested in this question. You said that your comfort movie is Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Caitlin, I need to know, what do you define as your comfort movie?
In terms of the MCU?
Just in general.
Oh my gosh. Okay. In general. Are we going like top 5? I have things that I watch for different reasons. I really love Forrest Gump. I have always loved that movie. There's something about watching him have these influences on all of these pop culture things
Right.
that is just so incredible to me. I love Dazed and Confused.
Mm-hmm.
That's my comfort movie, like with my husband, because he grew up in the neighborhood that movie is shot in.
Mm-hmm.
And probably My Cousin Vinny.
I love that movie.
Right.
It's so good. I just can't get enough of her. I just love watching her like just give him the business all the time, and just she's incredible in that movie. So yeah, that's my other one.
Pause Attraction.
My father's a mechanic. His father was a mechanic. My brothers are mechanics. It's just so she's so good. She's so
Those are my people.
I mean, it's she talks about the deer.
Oh, his little sweet dear lips up to the little brook.
Up to the cool, clear water. Would you give a damn what kind of pants the SOB was wearing? Like, it's so good. She's so good. I just love it. And there are movies that we will always, if they're showing up on television, we will turn them on. My Cousin Vinny, Dazed and Confused are always going to be those movies. But there's something very comforting in that. Now, I am shocked to hear you say that's your comfort movie. That is a very active movie.
It's so intense.
There is a lot in that movie where I was like, oh man.
So
and I'm watching it with my child.
It's so funny because if for the MCU movies,
It's
like,
rough.
for whatever reason, it's the one that I'm like, what MCU movie do I feel like watching today? And I'm like, it's gonna be Captain America: Winter
It is
Soldier.
intense. There is a lot of connection to racial stuff. It is dark. Like,
Yeah.
holy cow,
I don't know
that's
what it
your
is about
comfort
that
movie?
movie. I don't know what it is. And even like the soundtrack. So I started
Yeah.
listening to all of the soundtracks
Okay,
and
you've gone off the deep end in terms of your obsession.
dude, man, you want to do squats at the gym, you do it to the Avengers theme.
Captain Marvel soundtrack is probably my favorite one, honestly,
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
set in the 90s, so it's got
Right.
the
And it's
best
it's
music.
all female bands too.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Nice.
But the
So good.
score for, I think John Henry did the score for Captain America: Winter Soldier, and
Oh.
I made a TikTok about how if my anxiety had a score,
It
it
would be
would
that.
be that score. Like, I don't know what I'm like, this is if my anxiety had a sound, it would be the sound when the Winter Soldier jumps on the bridge
Oh
and that whole
gosh.
fight goes down.
I think I sat there like
I
just
know.
like, stressed watching that. It was
I
a
know.
good
I don't
stress
know.
because I was hooked. Okay, Jenny, what's your comfort movie? Gotta tell us.
I don't know. I want to say in the same vein of it's full of action, but I know exactly what's going to happen. I love Apollo 13.
Oh, it's so
Mm.
good. That's a good one. I used to watch that all the time when I was a kid, like all the
Yeah.
time.
Or Rogers and Hammerstein Cinderella
Oh, that's a good
with
one.
Leslie Ann Warren.
I can watch the Disney like 1950s version of Sleeping Beauty anytime. Like that movie just makes me happy. But it's not my comfort movie,
No.
you know, but
Yeah.
I can watch it anytime. It's great.
I also do love the Lifetime Karen Carpenter story.
Oh. That's a boxed wine sort of
Oh, yeah.
movie. Yeah, that's a boxed wine movie.
Oh.
Yeah, got it. Oh my goodness. Ariella, thank you so much for giving us this fabulous introduction to all things MCU. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. I had fun. I feel like
Yes,
I
I had fun
learned
too.
more that I needed to.
I feel like, did I confuse everyone?
No,
Did I
I'm
just
the newbie, right?
okay.
So I am very excited. I am going to go watch Captain America: Winter Soldier, and I'm going to get sucked in, and then I'm going to go back and watch them all in chronological order
Yes.
with a couple of twists because
Yes.
I got to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 together.
Yes.
And I am not by any means going to watch that end credits video
No.
on Black Widow until
No.
I
I might do
watch
it.
Endgame.
Do not.
I
Absolutely
might do
do
it.
not.
I actually may or may not have shown I don't know if it was Endgame or another one with Thanos in it to some students of mine because I was like, you guys have all seen this, so I'm gonna go ahead and show this on our free time days. So I've seen something of it, but
I mean,
I'm interested to see if any of it makes sense or it even triggers
You
a
are
memory.
such a cool teacher.
I mean,
You are putting on MCU movies. I am putting on Tiny Kitchen.
oh my god! As long as you're not putting on Bluey, I'm sure the kids are fine.
No,
but I
feel
love
like when I
Bluey.
watch someone make a very small lasagna.
How small? Like inches? It's inches. Yeah, they're really tiny.
Oh, they're tiny. They heat their stove with a tea light.
oh,
But it's like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And when I have some downtime in class, I'm like, oh, put on Tiny Kitchen. What guys you want to watch? Oh, small ravioli.
Somewhere in that whole heating it up with a tea light, there's a Yo Mama joke, and I'm just gonna let that percolate because I feel like it's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your kitchen's so tiny. I don't know. It's in there somewhere. It'll come out. I'll get it. I'll get there. All right. I think we need to wrap. But before we do, we would love it if you would like and subscribe almost wherever you listen to your pods. We're still working on getting into a few places, but definitely find us on Google Podcasts, on iHeart, on Spotify, and you can always go into our feeds. And Stitcher, are we there yet? I don't think we're there yet. We're working on it.
Kidding.
We're working on Stitcher. We'll get there.
Okay, and Ariella, you got to plug.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. So I make a lot of mediocre content on TikTok.
It's
And
We have a mediocre podcast, so
awesome.
we are.
It's
Perfect.
perfect.
I love
It's a
mediocre
match.
stuff. I keep my expectations and my standards like right here.
Love
So
it.
when I exceed them,
This is why Chili's is a nationwide chain.
Because of us.
Just saying, mediocre sells people.
listen, we need to embrace the mediocrity. you
Right.
know?
Shoot for average and then go from there.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right. Yeah. So I am on TikTok. Most of my TikTok is Marvel content and then like random other stuff. So I am Ariella M29 on TikTok. I am back on Twitter now that a certain person is no longer allowed to be on it. I find Twitter to be a nice place again.
Yay.
So I am on Twitter as Ariella M. And if you are into some spicy romance novels, I have started writing smut. So,
Oh my goodness.
because
Love it.
I need a creative outlet and I'm a writer who is a stay-at-home mom. So, yeah, if you're into that kind of reading and you're over 18, you can check me out on Wattpad. I am Little Mermaid Writes on Wattpad.
And we will have
And you've got all
links
that
to
stuff.
all
Yeah.
of this, and we'll make sure to put it in the notes for the show so that you guys can find her and in various capacities. And she also has some really helpful yoga tutorials online as well. So
Too.
that is really, really awesome to check out. So you can find that information in our show notes. Remember, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at CK and GK Podcast. You can also send us an email if you heard something that was glaringly not what you wanted to hear at ckandgkpod@gmail.com. All right. I think that's it for us. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So glad you were here.
Awesome.
All you out there in the world, make good choices.
Use your gift cards. Bye.
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 Hey friends, thanks for listening to the CK and GK podcast. Find us at CK and GK podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or anywhere else that you pod. See you next time.